I ran a babysitters club when I was 12, farming out my friends so that they could babysit. I was recently on Netflix. I don't know if you saw that, but I was recently on Netflix. But if you want to start getting clients right now from social media, you got to switch that mindset.
So welcome everyone to today's very interesting session, and I have truly special as a guest today as a part of our screening. We have one of the very highly rated international speakers with us, Lindsey Anderson, who's been into this entire realm of doing business coaching, consulting, and training for more than about 20 plus years. As a part of her experience, she comes along with a team of experts and team working along with her to make sure that she can create a whole lot of clients for people who are in the space of coaching industry. So welcoming you, Lindsey, here onto our very episode today for this session. Thank you so much for being a part of this series.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invite, Gopika. So happy to be here.
Lovely. So we're going to get started, Lindsey, just by being able to first find out, because, I'd like you to just speak about a little bit about the funnel that you have and the work that you do as a part of business coaching and consulting.
So what I really specialize in is helping people build a sustainable and profitable business. So that looks like creating good relationships and having high quality leads, having something solid to sell, utilizing social media to attract those people and be able to convert them into your coaching business, to which you're not overworking on your time. You're actually selling your time one to many instead of one to one, and you can really scale your time and have a sustainable business, not just one that takes and that you're always hustling, but there's some real ease and a real process to the whole business.
Lovely. So good to hear that. So there are a whole lot of people in India as well who are doing something very similar. But before I jump into on how you do it differently, let's
Sure.
first find out that, what really brought you to doing something like this? Was this the plan right from the very beginning for you?
No, in fact, well, I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. So some of my very first, I ran a babysitters club when I was 12, farming out my friends so that they could babysit. And when I went to college, I actually went into my degree is in information systems, which is computers, and business marketing. And so combining those two things from my education, it became real natural for me to really help people build an online business, because I was an entrepreneur building it for myself because I knew so much about computers. I would really start tying that in. And so now I would call myself a real specialist in digital marketing, not only for my own businesses, but hundreds of my clients to be able to scale their online businesses.
So if I was to really classify and look at this business counseling consulting strategy, that's something that you've been doing now over a period of time. So how long back were you able to really close down on this niche for yourself?
I've probably been in this more coaching industry for the last 10 years.
Hmm.
And a lot of the things I do are like they work for really anyone in an online business, but coaches, those individuals who are selling their own expertise, they have their own methodology that they're selling and they're creating this from their own ideas. That's really who I help, um because there's a real difference in being able to sell something that you've created yourself and standing behind your own methodology and the way you can help people, and actually like showing up and maybe like selling a car or selling Facebook ads. Like you can rely on that people have trust in Facebook ads or in houses or in cars. When you actually show up to sell your own thing and your own process, there's a nuance to it, and it requires more strategy. And so that's why I've become such a specialist in the coaching industry, is because of that difference and that nuance.
And what was extremely instrumental to building up, your expertise in strategy? I mean, what was that milestone that I would want, you to speak about that? How did you really get into the strategy part?
Well, because I was doing it for myself and hundreds of my customers. And after you do something for 20 years, you actually start knowing what works and what doesn't work because you've tried so many things. And a big part of building a sustainable business is having systems and processes. And so for 20 years, I've perfected a system and process of being able to attract high quality leads from social media and bring them into your programs and services. And it's a step-by-step process that we execute every day on the little step-by-steps. And that's really what I share, is understanding like these little pressure points that actually get somebody from a social media follower into somebody who's actually buying your programs. There's a lot of little steps in there that I've figured out that I share with my customers.
Absolutely. So we do it all the time, and coming from the space of training, speaking, and coaching here. So this is how we truly practice this here, Lindsay, which is that when we are wanting to attract high quality leads, we of course know of one of the best ways to be able to do it, which is through the paid media. And we
Mhm.
advertise, which is on the Facebook, which is on social media, and thereby be able to attract high quality leads. But what I really find interesting as a part of your approach has been, which is that we're paying a lot of emphasis on the social media content strategy. So would you like to talk about the same here?
Yeah, I have found. So I am an expert in email marketing, funnels, paid ads, podcasting, speaking, writing books, interviewing. I've done like those are like the main things that you can do to actually attract high quality leads. And I focus on organic social media and talk about social media because it makes every single thing that you are doing work so much better. Not only that, it's free. Not only that, it's available to everyone. And not only that, you can find people who are what I call your one true client on social media every day, all day. Like it is out there and available for everyone, where a lot of these other lead sources, they're more of a long-term game and they only work in their own silo, where everything needs social media because of the cookies and the tracking. Like social media knows what you're into, knows what's going on. People are on social media. So, if they're seeing you there, it's called omnipresence and it's very effective. And that's why I choose to focus on social media marketing.
So we're talking about more paying a lot more emphasis on the organic way of being able to build up those high quality leads and thereby being able to convert them into real time clients, right? So of course,
Yes.
we are building up our emphasis on social media, but that requires a minimum of about at least about 2 years, if I may say about 700 days. So how do you want to plan this around? Does your plan have about a specific number of years for this?
To get clients from social media? Yeah, because when people come into my Content That Converts program, this is a 3-month program that will tell you how to create content that converts and build an audience on social media. They're getting clients immediately. What I think is, 2 years, yeah, to build up a following and all of that. Sure. It's always iterative, but like if you're not getting clients and you aren't like talking to your one true client within the first month that you're actually working with me, then you're not doing it wrong. Then you're doing it wrong. What I really feel a big misconception about social media is that people think I'll post on social media and people will reach out to me. I'm just going to sit here and wait for people to reach out to me. But if you want to start getting clients right now from social media, you got to switch that mindset. Okay. These are real people. You can walk into a room and have conversations.
Mm.
You need to be reaching out every day. And when you're doing that, the algorithms know who you're reaching out to, know who you're trying to communicate with. And if you're posting content, that content will be shown to them. So I would say you can be making social media sales immediately when you do it with a strategy.
Lovely. So that sounds really like a plan. And so the way that, most of us here are right now following a trend in India, which is to play by the rules of LinkedIn, to play by the rules of Instagram, and thereby be able to collaborate and network and be able to generate a lot of high quality leads. So is that how you're also practicing for yourself?
Yes, I would always recommend to be keeping it authentic, to not be cold DMing links to people. However, there is a nuance there between, hey, I saw you on Facebook and here's a link to my next masterclass. That is certainly aggressive, cold selling that doesn't really work.
Mm.
What I'm recommending is you flip your perspective and instead you are starting conversations. So I have a whole portion of my program dedicated to what's called virtual networking. This has nothing to do with selling. Nothing. If you are thinking you're going to drop a link or sell something, you're doing it wrong. What you're doing is literally virtual networking. How many people can I add? How many people can I start a conversation with? How many people can I talk to? Because as you do this on social and then you post your content, when you focus on the micro like that, the macro takes care of itself. And so I do this through, you just have to be really clear about these relationships and time blocking. So my virtual networking is 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. And what you're doing is you're trying to kick off 10 new conversations with people. Hey, I saw your dog. Hey, we're both from Portland. Hey, I saw you over here. Hey, great post. Kick off 10 conversations in the morning and in the evening. You will never run out of people to sell to, because then they're going to actually see your content. And then you can actually invite them to something when they comment on something business related.
So is that being taken care by a team on your behalf, Lindsay, or are you really taking care of this completely by yourself, you would say?
The virtual networking I have found happens with me. It's all about, because it's me showing up to a virtual networking event. It's me having one-on-one conversation. So it's me. There's a ton my team can do. And I was recently on Netflix. I don't know if you saw that, but I was recently on Netflix. So I understand influencers. I understand business owners, and the way you handle social media, looking at other people's stories, comments, this is your personal brand, and you should be taking a half an hour in the morning and the evening to be doing that. It's a sales process. It's a profit producing tasks. It's nurturing relationships. So no, I do not recommend anyone farm that out, because it won't work as good. And you're letting other people speak for you. That's dangerous.
Yeah. So I understand that you're coming from the space completely of building up high quality clients. Now, if there's somebody who's entering into the space of coaching, and there is a complete, boom here in India as well for people who are wanting to aspire to become coaches here,
Yeah.
what would be the trajectory that you would want to suggest to follow through an organic social media? Because that's where they have a lot of hiccups, and they'll always say that it takes time. Let me go through a paid way of being able to build up the clients. What would be their startup strategy from your end?
Yeah, and I want to speak before I do that, the paid thing. So I also have an agency, and we run millions of dollars worth of ads for people. And this is what I know about ads, okay? Is that it will only amplify what is working well organically.
Yeah.
And so you can throw money at an ad campaign, but if you haven't tested that organically, you are wasting 50% of your money, at least, because you don't know what you're doing. So just know that you're getting into that. So I always recommend something organic first. Oh, I know organically, when someone sees this post, goes to this webinar, listens to this podcast, they'll get on a call with me. And then you can put money behind that, is my philosophy on that.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting to get into coaching, this is what I recommend that you do. Number one, you pick one platform, and you really view this as your virtual black book. These are like people that you are intimately connected here, but your first goal is really trying to understand your client. And there's no way you can guess your way into that. This client can't be you or whatever transformation you went through, because you can't see it for what it's worth. Like, you're too inside the jar to see the label. Okay. And so the best thing you can do, and many people will ignore this piece of advice because they find that it's not moving fast enough for them, but that is, your goal is to get 10 one true client interviews. And so this is DMing people, reaching out to people, you've got to interview 10 people who have your problem, and you're not selling to them or anything. You interview them on Zoom, you ask them a series of questions, and you really start to understand who you're talking to and the language that they are using. If you invest your time into these 10 interviews, okay, you can go to ChatGPT and say, I'm interviewing my perfect client. Give me 10 questions. And ChatGPT can help you formulate this. Ask them those questions. You will leave those 10 interviews with knowing what to post on social media, what people will buy, how to interact, and 10 hot leads that actually know what you're doing now. So I would always start there. It's not sexy, but that's where I'd start.
Yeah. So that's where the apprehension would come along, isn't it, Lindsay? So whenever we speak to, here in the coaching industry, we're always speaking about reach out through your social media, but building up connection through DMs for being able to generate clients is something that I've hardly been able to see here as a trend. So, I mean, how do we really inspire somebody to send DMs? Because what they're expecting is that the people are going to reach out to them for the same as well. And I'm sure all speakers, trainers, and coaches who are also going to be watching this video would have this question in mind, especially from India.
Yep. Okay. So I split it up into two. You gotta split up the process into two separate blocks. Okay. One is just for virtual networking. I'm only trying to meet people. I'm only trying to have conversations. I am not trying to sell. If you are trying to sell, you're doing it wrong. Okay. And literally you do this kind of virtual networking without selling 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night. Okay. And this piece prevents you from link dropping and here I'm overselling and here's this. You are literally just following up on relationships, depositing into those relationships bank accounts. And if you do it by time, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night, you will be able to really start getting some conversations going on social media. Now, that's when the second, does that make sense? Are you tracking that? Okay. So if during that virtual networking time where you're not selling, you're just like you've walked into a mall and there's people here that you could meet. Oh my gosh, that person's from Portland. I look at their thing. They're also a coach. I'm going to reach out and say, Facebook recommended we got connected. I'm also from Portland. How are you? Nice to meet you. There's no sales language there, just relationship. I want to make friends. Not even friends, like that's too friendly, more like acquaintances. I want to know who you are and connect with you.
Just breaking ice.
Yes, that's it. 30 minutes, 30 minutes. And that helps when you do it that way, because if you're not trying to sell people, then that 30 minutes in the morning and the evening is so much easier because you're just connecting and you'll get really good at it. Now, this is when it goes to selling, is anytime someone in the DMs or on any of your content make a comment about your business content, which you should be posting. Okay. If they make a comment about it, that opens up the discussion for you to be able to hop into their DMs and be like, oh, you asked this question about what I just posted. Maybe they're a divorce coach. Are you recently divorced or has this been a while? And you ask a question about the business to start qualifying them, but only when they mention business content. And I have this process that I call $1 million Rolodex. And every time during virtual networking, someone makes a comment on my business content, I put their name on my virtual Rolodex. And then when it comes to the second part, when I'm trying to invite people to a webinar of mine, when I'm trying to get people to a launch, when I need more sales conversations, I open up that $1 million Rolodex. And now I have a list of all the people who have ever had a business conversation with me. And then you can clearly DM them as well.
Wow.
Does that help line it out? Because I know this is real tricky for a lot of people.
Yes, that's exactly what a lot of us also needs to learn. And I think that's sounding extremely interesting, whereby, we're really trying to reach out rather than waiting for people to be able to reach back us in. So what would be like a proportion of paid and organic that you would want to recommend here for all aspiring coaches, trainers?
Yeah. So if you're just getting started, I mean, the best way I like to use any kind of paid promotion or amplification is with my content strategy is where I would start. So as I'm doing content, I'm creating, let's say I make 14 days worth of talking head videos I do those one true client interviews I mentioned to you. And I have all these stories and I understand my client and I'm going to kind of use some of this information they gave me in some talking head videos. So then I create 14 days worth of talking head videos or posts on social. Then I go to social media and I document all 14 of those days and how many likes, shares, comments, and views all of them got. And I'm going to put them in a spreadsheet. This is how you stop making gut instinct and just thinking what people want and actually knowing and making data-driven business decisions that will actually help you grow. Is that you do this documenting of numbers. Because once it's black and white in numbers, I know these 3 posts got 2 times more than anything else I ever posted in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to make my next 2 weeks have everything to do with these 3 videos.
Wow. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so back to your comment about where do I put my money? I have some money on paid ads. Well, you don't have a funnel set up yet, so don't be running a funnel. But what you want to be doing is those 3 posts that performed extremely well, you're going to put money to boost all 3 of those. And that's the best use of your ad spend, in my opinion, until you have a funnel where you're like, I know this is webinar that I give, and I know they'll get into a sales call, and I'll know this, and then you push traffic that way. But if you don't really know that, this is how I would get more visibility with boosting.
Lovely. So do you recommend organic first or paid first?
Organic.
Organic.
Definitely. Yes.
Okay, lovely. Good to hear. So, and I'm sure that you're being able to juggle this most of the times during weekends, which is the entire business of coaching and consulting, like the way that we practice here in India. Is that the same for you as well?
That they only work on weekends? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, yeah. So we only, most of the times, conduct our training and coaching and this entire business, which is done in the evenings, during the weekends. How is it for you?
So for me personally, I had all of my stuff during business hours. And I'm a business coach and consultant. My clients will typically, have some times available after work and those kind of things to cater to their clients. But I mean, yeah, for the most part, no, I would not say that most people are working the weekends. No.
Okay, lovely. And you work, of course, across as on a funnel system, which means levels, level 0, level 1, level 2. And that's the same kind of a pattern. Are we talking about following as well?
Can you repeat that question?
So as a funnel system that we, follow as coaches and trainers, we follow a funnel system where we start from a level 0, which means that's an entry level point for our people to enter into our funnel and get to know about a product. And then as they continue to like it, they get to scale up to level 1 and thereby to level 2. So it's more like a stages of mastery. So are we, really concentrating our energy in a similar fashion with you as well?
Now, are you referring to that in a marketing sense, like a marketing funnel sense, or a product offering sense where they buy in a, oh yes. So I do recommend that, although I do recommend you build it, that you always start with one-on-one coaching, which is more high priced, which is more high ticket, and it's more one-on-one. So I do recommend that you always start one-on-one.
Lovely. So we do that a lot with one-on-one and with group coaching as well, right? So what would be your, one a quick takeaway for people who are listening as aspiring trainers and coaches, that how should they really focus their energy on lead generation and for getting quality clients and quality leads for themselves?
Yeah, so you want to really be focusing on profit producing tasks, which is not like a lot of people get stuck in marketing and like on Canva and what does this graphic look like, and you can get really in the weeds on those details and they're not making you money. What's making you money is conversations. So conversations will always equal clients. And so if there's only 2 things you're going to do in a day, it's this virtual networking that I recommended at the beginning. It's 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night. So you're always kicking off 10 new conversations. Anytime someone says something about business, then you're open to like invite them to something or to bring them into a deeper conversation. And then of course you're always posting content. So the algorithms know who you're talking to. The algorithms know that I was in a Facebook group and I paused at this person's comment, and it's going to start showing my content to try to make us hook up.
Yeah.
And so like this virtual networking is, and then posting this content in the way that I mentioned to you is how you're going to get clients from organic social media.
Super. So sounds like a plan, and several takeaways for somebody, who's been practicing the same, and the audience who's going to be listening here into this video as well. So that was Lindsey for us, everyone, sharing her secrets behind her millionaire maker and the show and the podcast and the books and the courses and the webinars that she's been running, and for creating and generating high quality leads. So thank you once again, Lindsey, for spending and sharing your valuable secrets with us. It really means a lot to us as well.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.